Welcome back to the podcast, friends. Today we're diving into a topic that so many English learners experience, but don't always talk about openly: language anxiety. You know, that nervous feeling when you're about to speak and suddenly, your brain freezes.
Yep, the sweaty palms, racing heart, and that voice in your head saying, "What if I mess up?" It's real. And if that's happened to you, guess what? You're not alone. We're here to unpack what causes that anxiety, and more importantly, how to manage it.
Let's start with this. Language anxiety is completely normal. In fact, it's one of the most common challenges for learners at all levels. Even advanced speakers can feel it when speaking to native English speakers, or in formal settings.
Totally. And it's not just about your grammar or vocabulary. It often comes from fear of judgment, like, what will people think of my accent? Or what if I say something wrong? That fear can hold you back more than any language mistake ever will.
Exactly. So let's talk strategies. First, one of the most effective ways to reduce language anxiety is to practice speaking often in low-pressure situations. That might mean talking to yourself in English, joining friendly online groups, or even speaking with a tutor who understands your goals.
Right, because the more you practice, the less scary it feels. Think of it like exercise. The first time you go to the gym, everything feels intimidating. But the more you show up, the more comfortable and confident you become.
Another great tip: redefine what success means in a conversation. Instead of focusing on speaking perfectly, aim for being understood. That mindset shift alone can lower your stress level significantly.
Yes. You don't need to sound like a native speaker. You just need to communicate. And guess what? Most people are kind and patient. They are not sitting there judging every syllable. They want to understand you, not grade your pronunciation.
Let's not forget breathing. Seriously, before you speak, take a deep breath. It helps calm your nervous system and gives you a moment to think. You don't have to rush.
Another trick I love is rehearsing real-life situations in advance. Think about what you might say at a restaurant, during a job interview, or while traveling. Practice those phrases over and over until they feel natural. That preparation builds confidence.
And you can even write down your thoughts or questions ahead of time if you're going into a situation that makes you nervous. That way, you've got something to fall back on if your mind goes blank.
Also, please don't compare yourself to others. Everyone's language journey is different. Focus on your own progress, your own wins, no matter how small. That comparison game is a confidence killer.
Yes, celebrate small victories. Did you introduce yourself clearly? Order your coffee in English. Join an English chat room for the first time. That's awesome. Recognize those moments, they are signs of real growth.
And last but not least, be kind to yourself. Making mistakes isn't failure. It's proof you're trying. And trying is what brings fluency.
Language anxiety doesn't disappear overnight, but with the right tools and a little self-compassion, it does get easier. The more you speak, the braver you become. Keep going, you've got this.
You know, one thing that helped me when I was learning Spanish was pretending I was acting. Like, stepping into a character. That way, it didn't feel like me making mistakes, it was the character. It gave me permission to mess up without the shame.
That's actually brilliant. It kind of removes the pressure of being perfect. You're just playing a role. And sometimes, just changing how you frame the situation can make a huge emotional difference.
And speaking of emotional difference, let's not underestimate the power of a good support system. Having even one person you feel safe practicing with can lower your anxiety like nothing else.
Definitely. It could be a language partner, a tutor, a friend, or even a fellow learner. Someone who doesn't make you feel judged, who understands what it's like to struggle with speaking. That kind of safe space can boost your confidence so much.
Also, let's talk about perfectionism. A lot of language learners I've worked with delay speaking until they feel ready. But guess what? That moment never comes. If you wait for perfection, you'll wait forever.
Yep. Progress comes from the messiness. From trying, stumbling, learning, and then trying again. That's how fluency is built, not by avoiding mistakes, but by walking through them.
One practical tool that might help is keeping a language wins journal. Write down every moment you used English successfully, big or small. It helps you see how far you've come, especially on days when your confidence dips.
Oh, I love that idea. It's a great way to fight the "I'm not improving" voice in your head. You open that journal and boom, proof that you are making progress.
And remember, anxiety isn't the enemy, it's a signal. It's your brain saying, hey, this matters to me. Use that as fuel to keep going. You're nervous because you care, and that's actually a powerful thing.
Absolutely. Don't let anxiety be the reason you stay silent. Let it be the reason you push forward. Little by little, step by step, you'll get there.
You know, another trick that really helps me when I feel that tight nervous feeling before speaking is breathing. Just 1 or 2 slow deep breaths before I talk can actually calm down my whole system. It sounds simple, but it works.
Totally agree. I do that too. Just inhale slowly, exhale, and give yourself permission to pause. You don't have to speak right away. You can take a moment to collect your thoughts, even during a conversation. That's what fluent speakers do too.
Exactly. And sometimes, we assume native speakers are watching our every word, but most of the time, they are just listening for meaning, not perfection. They're not thinking, oh, that verb was wrong. They're thinking, did I understand you?
Yes. It's not a test, it's a connection. And when you remember that conversations are shared experiences, not solo performances, it takes some pressure off.
Here's another fun idea: record voice notes for yourself. You don't have to send them to anyone. Just talk about your day in English. No pressure, no audience, just you. And over time, you'll hear your own improvement.
I love that. Plus, it gets you comfortable with your own voice in English. That's something a lot of learners struggle with. They're not used to hearing themselves speak a new language. But the more you do it, the less weird it feels.
Absolutely. And it becomes kind of fun. You start to notice patterns, expressions you use often, words you're getting better at. That feedback loop is so helpful for building confidence.
And one last reminder, there's no such thing as bad English if you're communicating. If someone understands you, you're doing something right. Fluency is not about never hesitating, it's about keeping the conversation going.
Yes. And every time you speak, even with anxiety, you're telling your brain, I can do this. And eventually, your brain believes it.
And the more your brain believes it, the more natural it feels. You won't even notice the shift right away, but one day you'll catch yourself ordering food, asking a question, or joining a conversation in English, and it just flows.
That's the real magic. It's not a sudden transformation. It's small, brave moments repeated consistently over time. Each anxious attempt becomes a stepping stone to ease.
Exactly. And even if your heart's pounding, even if your voice shakes, it still counts. In fact, those are the most important moments, because they are proof you're growing.
And one thing to remember is that it's okay to talk about your anxiety too. Sometimes just saying, hey, I'm a bit nervous speaking English, makes the situation easier. People are usually kind and supportive when you're honest.
So true. And you'd be surprised how many people admire you for speaking a second language. Even native speakers, who've never had to learn another language, often feel a kind of quiet respect for language learners.
Yeah, we forget that. You're doing something courageous. You're putting your ideas out into the world in a new language. That takes guts.
And the more you do it, the stronger your confidence grows, not just in English, but in yourself. Language anxiety doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. And humans get stronger through challenge.
So if you're listening to this and feeling nervous about your next conversation, or your next class, or even just saying a sentence out loud, remember, you don't have to be fearless. You just have to be willing.
Willing to try, even when your voice shakes. Willing to show up, even when you feel unsure. That's how progress is made, in those quiet, brave moments where you choose to keep going.
And honestly, sometimes language anxiety shows up just because you care. You care about expressing yourself clearly. You care about connecting. And that's a beautiful thing, it means your heart is in it.
Yes. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's something to honor. Because that fear, that discomfort, it's just your brain stretching beyond its comfort zone, and that's where real growth happens.
I remember once, I was in a conversation and completely forgot a basic word, umbrella, I think. I ended up saying, the rain protector thing, and the person laughed in a good way and said, umbrella. It actually turned into a really fun conversation.
That's such a great example. People want to help. And mistakes or pauses don't break communication, they build it. They create space for interaction, for real human connection.
And language is not a test. It's a tool. It's a tool to share your story, your ideas, your jokes, your feelings. Even if you fumble, the message still matters.
So keep showing up. Keep using your voice. Keep pushing through that little wave of nervousness. Because behind it is the version of you who speaks freely, laughs in English, learns from mistakes, and inspires others with your courage.
And if you need a reminder on a tough day, just come back to this, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present.
Exactly. Because the more present you are, the more you realize, it's not about getting every word right. It's about being understood. It's about making a connection, even if your grammar isn't perfect, or your accent is different.
And honestly, some of the most powerful English I've ever heard wasn't textbook perfect. It was real. It came from someone who meant what they said and said it with heart, no matter how broken or beautiful the language was.
I love that. Because when you speak from the heart, people listen. They don't notice the little mistakes. They notice the courage. They notice your effort, your presence, your energy.
And over time, something amazing happens, you start to notice that your anxiety fades. Not all at once, but bit by bit. You start to enjoy the conversations. You start to trust yourself more.
And that's such a rewarding shift. You go from dreading every English interaction, to actually looking forward to using the language. You become proud of how far you've come.
Exactly. So if you're in that stage where speaking still feels scary or awkward, don't give up. This part of the journey is temporary. But the confidence you're building is forever.
It really is. And just remember, every time you speak English, even when it's messy, you're becoming the version of yourself you've always wanted to be.
Bit by bit. Word by word. Mistake by mistake. You're doing it.
And the beautiful thing is, even when you don't realize it, you're improving. Just by trying. Just by staying in the conversation. That's practice. That's progress.
Yeah, sometimes we wait for this big, dramatic moment to feel fluent, like one day we'll wake up and just know we've made it. But really, fluency sneaks up on you. It grows in all the small moments you were brave.
Like the time you ordered food in English, or gave your opinion in class, or even just introduced yourself to a stranger. Those small wins are actually huge. They build confidence, and confidence builds fluency.
Absolutely. And it's okay to feel stuck sometimes. It doesn't mean you're failing, it just means you're learning something hard. And hard things take time.
So be kind to yourself. Celebrate your effort, not just your results. And try to notice the little victories, like when you understand a podcast without subtitles, or remember a word you couldn't before.
Or when you realize you're not translating in your head as much anymore. Or when someone understands you right away and you think, hey, that felt easy.
Those are the moments to hold on to. They remind you that your English journey is working, even if it doesn't always feel fast.
And that journey, messy, imperfect, brave, is exactly what will lead you to real fluency. Not perfection. Just consistent, courageous progress.
So, if you've been feeling anxious about speaking English, take a deep breath. You're not alone, and you're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be, learning and growing every time you open your mouth.
Remember, fluency isn't about being flawless, it's about being fearless. Show up, speak up, and don't let the fear of mistakes hold you back. Every word you speak is a step forward.
We believe in you. And we hope this episode reminded you that your voice matters, even in another language.
Thanks for spending time with us today. Keep practicing, stay kind to yourself, and most importantly, keep speaking.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and never stop believing in your English journey. Bye for now.
See you soon.